So if you stumbled across this video, more than likely you have a lot of questions or concerns. Some of you may be earlier on in your questioning process, trying to figure out more about your identity and not knowing where it's going to take you. Some of you may know where you are, just not where to go from there. I know when I first started questioning, I had a lot of things going through my mind and had no idea where to start. So today I would like to spend some time answering your questions and concerns with my own personal experiences and advice. Hey everybody, it's your trans girl next door, Lainey. I post trans-related content ranging from tips and tricks to politics. If that's something you would be interested in, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. I also post funny and informative content on TikTok and Instagram if you would like to stay up to date with me daily. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the video. So in the first part of this video, I would like to spend some time answering the question, how did I know that I was trans? So the best way I can think of to answer that question would be to provide my own personal experiences. I found when I first started questioning, that was the best way that I could relate and discover more about myself. So from a very early age, I just knew that I was different. Before I even knew what gender norms consisted of, I just knew that my body didn't match the gender that I was assigned at birth. I actually remember from a very early age telling my mom that I wanted to be a girl, and I'll never forget her response. She just flat out said, "No, you don't," and walked away. So because of this, I just knew what I said was wrong. I knew what I was feeling was wrong. I eventually just learned to repress myself the rest of my childhood because of this interaction I had with her. I can also remember every night when I was a kid, praying and praying and praying to God, because I came from a religious household, to just wake up and be a girl, feel normal. So pretty much for the rest of my childhood, I spent it repressing a lot of these feelings and these thoughts. And it wasn't until puberty hit that I really started feeling just out of my body. I remember as one of my first experiences of puberty, growing facial hair. As an Italian, it grows and it grows fast. So I would spend an insane amount of time sitting in the mirror, plucking every single hair off of my chin and my lip. I also remember my freshman year hanging out with a lot of women during lunch, at class. I just got along with them very well. And it wasn't until rumors started going around that I was gay, which I was not, that I knew I had to distance myself from them and develop this manly persona so I could fit in and just survive high school. So I got really into lifting and sports, thinking that if I developed this persona, people wouldn't think that there's something different about me. And during this time, my family had no internet at home, so I had no idea that I wasn't the only one on the planet feeling this way. So I finally make it through high school and I get to college. I am still facing all these same feelings, and they're getting worse and they're getting worse as the days go on. I finally take it as a sign my senior year to just look up my symptoms and see what is wrong with me. And this is when I finally found out that trans people exist, that all of my experiences, I wasn't alone. Other people were going through the same things. They were feeling the same emotions, the same thoughts. I just knew then that this was who I was. I then tried looking up every solution that I could find. And the only thing that was successful was transitioning. But I knew from my earlier experiences that I just wasn't going to be accepted by my family. At that time, I had no way of supporting myself at all financially. I did what I had been doing for years. I went back in the closet and kept on repressing myself. My goal was to pretty much die with this secret. And the thing with gender dysphoria is the more you try to push it down, the more it rears its ugly head up. The more that I put myself away, the worse I got every day. It eventually got to a place where I would either transition or I wouldn't be around much longer. So I decided I wanted to live. I wanted to grow old as me. I wanted to be around. And so I transitioned. It's been about a year now, and I can honestly say one of the best decisions of my life. I've never felt so one with my body and my spirit and my mind, and I can truly say that I'm just so excited for the future. So the next question is, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? So the second part will be answering a lot of those questions, as well as giving some suggestions of how you can get started on your own personal journey. So one of my biggest suggestions when you're first starting out is to find a good therapist. Not only are they crucial and will be in your corner and help you get started on your transition journey, I find that it is so important to discover yourself and talk about it. I know when I first started, I wanted to figure out why I was depressed. That was my motive, is how could I be happy? So I went in there trying to solve that more so, just trying to figure out the gender dysphoria. So me and my therapist went down the list from A to Z, thinking of everything throughout my life that could contribute to my depression. We crossed off everything and found the only thing that was consistent and never went away was the gender dysphoria. And because of that, it gave me so much certainty on what I was doing was the thing for me. So my next piece of advice is to figure out your gender identity and what that means for you. What I mean by that is, what are you uncomfortable with? Are you uncomfortable with your gender expression and your roles? Or are you also uncomfortable with your sex, your secondary sex characteristics, your primary sex characteristics? These questions are going to be crucial to figure out what your journey is going to take you, whether that be just changing your presentation and identifying in different pronouns, or doing surgeries, medical transition, etc. So to jump off of that, I also suggest changing your gender presentation, working to see what kind of clothes you like to wear, what things you like to do, and also on top of that, if you have close-knit friends and family, working with them to figure out what kind of pronouns you want to go by. So once you have done these things, then you can jump to the next part, is to figure out how you want to transition. Some people just want to socially transition, just want to be seen as the gender that they identify with, and that's it. Some people would rather just medically transition to where they take hormones or they do certain surgeries to make them feel more comfortable, but they just don't feel comfortable by going by a different gender. For me, I did both. I first started medically transitioning for a few months just by taking hormones, and then eventually I started socially transitioning, going by a different name, by different pronouns, and then coming out to my work, friends, family, etc. So I would say this next part is probably going to be the most difficult part on your journey, and that actually is coming out. So for this part, I'll have a bunch of tips and tricks that I either wish I would have done or did to help alleviate this process a bit. So the first part of this is deciding who you're going to come out to, where you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, and also how. Before doing this, I highly suggest you pick a safe environment. That means make sure that you are safe physically when you come out, make sure you're safe mentally, and make sure that you are safe financially. I always say, be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best. Some people will really surprise you. One of the things I wish I would have done when I came out is to either do it in person or talk to the person directly over the phone. I find that this gives a lot more personal connection in regards to how you're feeling, why you're doing this. A big piece of advice I have is to write it down. I know when I came out, I had a whole big book in regards to why I was doing this and what I was feeling and why I cared so much about telling people. And lastly, just be confident in what you are doing. Make sure that you are very, very clear about why you want to transition. Make sure you're very clear about what you are planning to do. so that there is no surprises, comebacks, remarks. It is just, this is what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and this is what's going to happen in the future. So this next piece of advice is for those of you that are wanting to medically transition. It is crucial that you get a primary care doctor or an endocrinologist. Make sure that you do your research in regards to ones that can provide the care that you need. Do the research in regards to what that means in getting it for your state or country. And lastly, just be confident in what you're saying to the doctor, just like when you came out. Don't be embarrassed. Tell them this is what I want and this is why I'm doing it. And my last piece of advice is to decide when you want to transition, whether that be once you get your medication, maybe you need to better your situation beforehand, or it could just be the next day. That's completely up to you. It's now your journey to make and your happiness to find. So the last piece of transitioning is just starting your transition. Unfortunately, that is a lot of different tips and tricks and processes that I could get into, but that would be another 30-minute video. So if that's something you would be interested in seeing in the future, make sure that you comment down below and let me know. So if you enjoyed the content of this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It gives me a lot more incentive to make more of these in the future. I appreciate you watching today and hope this helps somehow in your journey. Remember that you are loved and be kind to yourself. Until next time.